Big thanks to Teacher Ricky again for letting us use his channel. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, everyone. And a special shout out to Nora Food Trip for watching. We appreciate you. So let's get real for a second. Money, right? It can be a real pain sometimes. I know a lot of us are thinking about financial independence, especially these days, so we thought we'd do a deep dive into a classic, The Millionaire Next Door. We're going to uncover some surprising stuff about how people build wealth in America, hopefully give you guys some ideas about your own financial journey too. Okay, so get this. One of the things the book says is that millionaires are more likely to drive a used car than a flashy sports car. What do you think? That's not the image that I usually think of.
Right. It's so interesting how the Millionaire Next Door just shatters that Hollywood idea of what a millionaire is, all that luxury.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, I always picture millionaires dripping in diamonds, designer everything. But what does the data actually say?
Yeah, the book actually says that the average millionaire spends way less on things like suits and watches and shoes than you'd expect. Like they found that half the millionaires they talked to had never spent more than $235 on a watch.
Wow. Seriously, that's wild. I think my last pair of sneakers was more than that. I guess it really makes you question everything you thought you knew about what it means to be wealthy, huh?
It definitely flips the script, and it really gets to the heart of what the book's all about. It's not about appearances, it's about making smart choices with your money consistently over time.
Okay, so if they're not spending all their money on luxury stuff, how do they get so wealthy? Like, what's the secret sauce?
Well, the book talks about this idea of PAWs, Prodigious Accumulators of Wealth. And they contrast that with UAWs, the under accumulators of wealth.
Okay, so PAWs versus UAWs, what's the difference in how they think about money?
Well, the main difference is that PAWs are all about long-term financial independence. They don't care about keeping up with the Joneses or instant gratification. They're super disciplined about saving and investing, often living way below their means, which means they can invest more and build wealth over time.
I mean, that kind of goes against our whole culture of I want it now, doesn't it? But I guess there are probably some psychological benefits to delaying gratification if you're a PAW, right?
Yeah, for sure. They get it. They understand that real financial security comes from building a strong foundation, not just flashy displays of wealth. That long-term perspective lets them ride out those financial storms and make choices that are good for their future selves. There's this great story in the book, actually, about a multimillionaire named Mr. Allen who was offered a Rolls Royce as a gift and turned it down.
Wait, what? Who turns down a Rolls Royce? There's got to be a good story there.
Yeah, basically, he said it just didn't fit his lifestyle or his values. He said he liked to throw fish in the back of his car after fishing trips, which, wouldn't really work with a Rolls Royce.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. So it's not about depriving yourself. It's more about making sure your spending matches what's important to you.
Exactly. And for PAWs, financial freedom is at the top of the list. So they're willing to make choices that support that goal, even if it means driving a used car or skipping those luxury items.
So we've heard that a lot of millionaires don't live these crazy, extravagant lifestyles, and they're all about financial independence.
Yeah.
But they're not all trust fund kids, right? How do they actually build that wealth?
That's another myth the book busts. A lot of millionaires are self-employed, which gives them more control over their income and expenses. Plus, it often lets them use their skills and their passions to build successful businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Being your own boss definitely gives you more flexibility and the potential to make more money. But starting a business is risky. Does the book talk about the challenges of being an entrepreneur at all?
Oh, yeah, totally. The book talks about the risks, but also the rewards. It emphasizes how important it is to find your niche, to see what the market needs, and then build a business that matches your skills and interests.
So you can't just jump at any opportunity that comes your way. You need to find something you're actually passionate about that could be successful over the long term.
Exactly. And actually, the book has a lot of data on profitable sole proprietorship businesses, everything from paving contractors to insurance agents, showing that there are a lot of paths to wealth outside the corporate world.
Okay, that's encouraging. It sounds like if you're willing to put in the work and you're dedicated and have a bit of that entrepreneurial spirit, a lot of people could become financially independent. But let's be honest, taxes, right? Taxes can take a big chunk of your earnings. Does the book have any advice on how to deal with that?
It does. It talks about minimizing your realized income.
Realized income. Can you break that down for us? I'm not sure everybody knows what that means.
Sure. It basically means it's not just about how much money you make, but how much of that income is actually taxed. So the less income you realize or report, the less you'll pay in taxes.
So you're saying it's about being strategic with how you manage your income and your investments to reduce your tax burden.
Exactly. And the book really digs into this, especially for self employed people who have more control over their income streams. For example, investing in assets that grow in value without creating a taxable cash flow can be a really powerful way to build wealth while minimizing your tax bill.
That's a good point. It shows how important it is to not just earn money, but also to understand how to manage it well and pay less in taxes.
Absolutely. It's not just about working hard, it's about working smart and using the tax code to your advantage.
This is all such useful information for anyone who wants to take control of their finances and build a more secure future. But the Millionaire Next Door doesn't just focus on building wealth as an individual, it also looks at family dynamics and how complicated it can be to financially support adult children.
You're talking about economic outpatient care, right? That's one of the most interesting and maybe controversial parts of the book.
Exactly. It really challenges some common ideas about how we should financially support our kids.
Yeah, the research actually shows that giving too much financial support to your adult children, even if you have good intentions, can actually hurt their chances of becoming financially independent.
It seems counterintuitive, right? Like we want to help our kids, but we might actually be holding them back by not letting them face financial challenges and develop those skills on their own.
It's definitely a tricky balance. The book encourages parents to think about the long-term consequences of giving financial gifts and to focus on helping their kids build their own financial foundations.
Yeah, so it's about teaching them how to fish, not just giving them fish. We'll talk more about this in part 2 of our exploration of the Millionaire Next Door.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Millionaire Next Door. We were just talking about how giving your adult children too much money can sometimes actually have the opposite effect of what you intended.
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. And I think it's something a lot of parents struggle with, finding that sweet spot between helping their kids out and encouraging them to be independent. What are some of the downsides to giving adult children too much financial help?
Well, the book says that it can make them feel entitled and dependent, which ultimately makes it harder for them to become financially independent themselves. They might not be as motivated to work hard, save money, or develop their financial skills if they know they can always rely on mom and dad to bail them out.
It's like they never really fully launch into adulthood financially.
That's a perfect way to put it. And it's not just about the money either. It can also impact their relationships, their self-esteem, and their overall sense of accomplishment.
So how do you navigate that as a parent? How do you support your adult children without making them overly dependent?
The book suggests setting clear expectations and boundaries around financial help, being there for them when they really need it, but also encouraging them to take responsibility for their own finances.
So it's like that saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly. And it's not just about talking to them about money, it's about involving them in financial discussions from a young age. Teach them about budgeting, saving, investing. These are essential life skills no matter how much money they have.
It's about giving them the tools they need to confidently make their own financial decisions and build a solid foundation for themselves.
Exactly. And of course, leading by example is so important too. Kids pick up on their parents' financial habits more than they do from lectures or anything.
So if you want your kids to be responsible with money, you have to walk the walk yourself.
Absolutely. The book highlights how important it is to model financial discipline, make smart spending choices, and put saving and investing ahead of material things. It's about creating a family culture where financial responsibility is a core value.
It's about focusing on building a legacy of financial security and independence for your family instead of just keeping up with the Joneses.
Well said. And the book also talks about the importance of encouraging kids to find work they're passionate about.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that, finding your passion.
It's a big theme in the book. The authors believe that one of the reasons so many millionaires are successful and happy is because they truly love what they do. It's not just about the money, it's about finding work that aligns with your values and what you're interested in.
So it's about supporting their talents and encouraging them to pursue their dreams, even if those dreams don't look like what society typically considers successful.
Exactly. It's about empowering them to create a life that's both financially rewarding and personally fulfilling.
But the Millionaire Next Door isn't just about raising kids. It also challenges some of our ideas about who millionaires are in America.
Yeah, one of the most surprising things in the book is that millionaires come from all sorts of backgrounds and ancestry groups. It busts the myth that wealth is only for a select few.
I'm curious, what are some of those groups that the book highlights as having a lot of millionaires?
This might surprise you, but the book says that the Russian ancestry group has the highest concentration of millionaires in America, even though they make up a small percentage of the population.
Really? Russians. That's interesting. What's their secret?
It's not necessarily about being early immigrants. The book suggests that smaller ancestry groups like Russians and Scots often have strong cultural ties and traditions that emphasize things like thrift, discipline, and financial independence.
So you're saying that cultural values play a big role in shaping people's financial habits and attitudes towards wealth.
Absolutely. But it's not just about your heritage, it's also about the choices you make. The book really emphasizes that anyone, regardless of their background, can achieve financial success if they develop the right mindset and habits.
It's not about where you come from, it's about where you're going and the choices you make along the way.
Exactly. And speaking of choices, one of the key differences between PAWs and UAWs is how they approach budgeting.
Ah, budgeting. A word that I know makes some people cringe, but it's super important for your financial health, right?
Absolutely. And PAWs know this. They're really meticulous about budgeting. They track their spending, plan ahead, and make saving and investing a priority. They see budgeting as a tool that gives them control, not something that restricts them.
They're not afraid to look at their finances and make conscious decisions about where their money is going.
Exactly. UAWs, on the other hand, often avoid budgeting. They might overspend, get into debt, and struggle to save because they're not actively managing their money.
It's like they're driving with their eyes closed, hoping for the best, but not really in control.
That's a great analogy. It really highlights how important it is to be proactive about your financial well-being and take the wheel.
So we've talked about budgeting, but what about credit cards? They can be a real trap for a lot of people.
Right.
What does the book say about how millionaires use credit cards?
Well, this might surprise you, but the most common credit cards among millionaire households aren't those fancy platinum or black cards you might think.
Wait, don't tell me they're using store credit cards.
You got it. Visa, MasterCard, even Sears and JCPenney cards are popular among millionaires. It all comes back to that frugality and practicality. They're not impressed by status symbols or brand names. They want value and convenience.
So it's not about racking up points or showing off. It's about using credit cards strategically and responsibly.
Exactly. And they're not afraid to negotiate lower interest rates or shop around for the best deals. They understand that every dollar they save is a dollar they can invest.
It all ties back to that mindset of financial discipline and thinking long term. They're in it for the long haul, not just chasing quick rewards.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that long-term perspective applies to how they invest as well. The book talks about minimizing realized income to maximize wealth growth.
We talked about this earlier, but can you remind us why minimizing realized income is so important when it comes to building wealth?
Remember, it's not just about how much you make, it's about how much you keep after taxes. By minimizing your realized income, especially from investments, you can significantly reduce your tax burden. This leaves you with more money to reinvest and grow your wealth.
So it's not just about picking the right stocks, it's also about knowing how to structure your investments to be tax efficient.
Exactly. And the book gives some great advice on how to do that, especially for people who are self-employed or have a lot of investment income. One strategy is to invest in things that appreciate in value without creating a taxable cash flow, like real estate or certain types of stocks.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about looking at your finances as a whole, considering not just your income, but also how much you'll owe in taxes.
Exactly. It's all connected. And the Millionaire Next Door provides a really helpful framework for understanding these connections and making smart financial choices that line up with your long-term goals.
We've covered a lot today: frugality, budgeting, investing, and even how to find a good financial advisor. But there's one more important topic that the Millionaire Next Door explores, and that's how to raise children who have a healthy attitude towards money.
Ah, yes. The balancing act of wealth and family. It's a topic that can be full of challenges and anxieties for parents, especially those who have achieved significant financial success.
I think a lot of parents really want to provide for their children, but also instill values of hard work, responsibility, and financial independence. Finding that balance could be really tough.
It can be. And luckily, the book offers some great insights and strategies for handling these complex issues. We'll delve into those more in part 3 of our deep dive.
Welcome back. So in this final part of our deep dive into the Millionaire Next Door, we're going to wrap things up by talking about how all these principles apply to raising kids.
You know, one of the things I find most fascinating about this book is how it really challenges the way we think about wealth and parenting. Like, It suggests that raising financially responsible kids isn't about giving them tons of money, it's about instilling the right values and habits.
Yeah, we've touched on this before, but I think it's worth repeating. The book really emphasizes being careful about the downsides of giving your adult children too much financial help.
For sure. It's natural to want to help your kids financially, but sometimes giving them too much can backfire. It can make them feel entitled and not as motivated to work hard or save money. And it might even delay them becoming financially independent.
Right, like we might actually be holding them back by not letting them figure things out for themselves.
Exactly. The book talks a lot about setting clear expectations and boundaries when it comes to money, being there if they really need help, but also pushing them to take charge of their own finances.
Finding that balance is important.
Absolutely. And it's not just about talking to them about money, it's about including them in those conversations from a young age, teaching them about budgeting, saving, investing, basic life skills that everyone needs, regardless of their financial situation.
It's about giving them the tools and knowledge to be confident with their money and make good decisions for their future.
Exactly. And leading by example, of course. Kids learn way more from watching what their parents do with money than from any lecture you could give them.
Actions speak louder than words, right?
Right. The book makes a big deal about modeling financial discipline, making thoughtful choices about spending, and prioritizing saving and investing over just buying stuff. It's about creating a family culture where being financially responsible is just the norm.
Yeah, it's about building that legacy of financial security and independence for your family instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Absolutely. And the book also talks about the importance of encouraging kids to follow their passions and find work that they actually enjoy.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Finding
Yeah.
what you're passionate about.
Well, it's a theme that comes up a lot in the book. The authors think one of the reasons so many millionaires are successful and happy is that they love what they do. It's not just about getting a paycheck, it's about finding work that matches your values and interests.
So it's about supporting their talents, encouraging them to go for their dreams, even if those dreams don't look like what society typically thinks of as successful.
Exactly. It's about giving them the power to build a life that's both financially rewarding and personally fulfilling.
Well, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive into The Millionaire Next Door. We've learned so much about building wealth, managing money, and raising financially savvy kids.
It's a book that really makes you rethink what it means to be wealthy and successful. It reminds us that true wealth isn't just about money. It's about living a life that's meaningful, ethical, and generous.
And on that note, a huge shout out to teacher Ricky for letting us use his awesome platform to share all these ideas. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to his channel, folks. And to everyone watching, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to take control of your finances and create a better future for yourself. Let us know if there are any other books or topics you'd like us to cover. We're always looking for new deep dives. Best of luck on your journey to financial success. And remember, building a fulfilling life is what it's all about.